and in your life. I'm your host, Trevor Houston, and today I've got a truly inspiring guest with us. I've had the pleasure of hearing Jon Gordon speak at Amberley Lago's Unstoppable Summit Success. And let me just tell you something. Amberley could not stop talking about this guy. And I was so excited. I was like, okay, I gotta hear him. I gotta hear it out. And he went up there, and I'm going to tell you, she was absolutely right. He lit the stage up, absolute fire, and I had to beeline over to him. I mean, right when he got done with his keynote, I just ran over to him and his wife, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get you on the podcast to talk to my audience. So I'm super excited. Jon Gordon is a father, husband, and author whose best-selling books and talks have inspired millions of readers and audiences around the world. He's the author of the timeless classic, The Energy Bus, The Carpenter, Training Camp, The Power of Positive Leadership, The Power of Positive Team, and his latest book, The One Truth.
Let's go.
Let's go. When he's not running through airports or speaking to businesses, hospitals, or schools, you can find him playing pickleball or taking long walks where he gets most of his ideas. Jon believes in keeping his bio short because his past accomplishments are meaningless. What matters most is that he has something today that will inspire you to take action tomorrow. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Jon Gordon to the stage. How you doing, my friend?
Trevor, doing great. Great introduction, man. You were born for this.
Well, I appreciate you, man. I've been doing it a little while, started this show back in 2018. So about 6.5 years in. So rocking and rolling, man. And I just am honored that you're here with us today. Again, when I heard you on stage, I was like, I have to share you with my audience. There was not a if, it was like, I have to. This is the guy. All right. So I'm super excited you're here with me today. Thanks again.
Man, I appreciate that. Yeah, it was great meeting you at the event. You had a great energy. I get asked to do a lot of podcasts and can't do them all, but definitely wanted to do yours. So that was a great request by you, and I appreciate it.
Well, thanks again. I'd like maybe you to take us back because, man, looking at your resume here, wow, impressive. I mean, how many books are you on now? Like 31, something like that?
30 just came out, and it just became a bestseller. So we're up to 17 bestsellers now, thank God.
Let's go. 17 bestsellers. You're also a great speaker. You definitely lit the stage on fire. But let's go back. What would you say, when you first got started speaking and writing books and becoming an author, what were some of the bigger challenges that you faced getting started into the industry, and how did you overcome those?
Well, it was just getting known. Like, no one knows who you are when you're just getting started. And I remember the very beginning, and I wasn't a good speaker. I did not have a lot of reps. I did not light up the stage. My wife will tell you I wasn't very good, but I was out there doing it and willing to do it. I did 80 free talks when I first got started. So I would reach out to friends, to family, to business associates and say, hey, I'd love to come speak to your company, to your team, to your organization. I'll give a free talk on how to get addicted to positive energy, all the way back then in 2003, 2004, and began this journey as a speaker. Wanted to write, wanted to speak, knew it was my calling. I mean, I really was struggling with my mental health at some point. I would say 30, 31 years old, really struggled, lost my job during a .com crash, got a wife, 2 kids. We had just moved to Jacksonville. Don't know how I'm going to pay the bills. Don't know how I'm going to support my family. I was crumbling from the inside. My identity, like, who am I? And this dream I had of being successful is not happening. I just lost my job. I had sold my restaurants. I was a mover and shaker when I was in my 20s in Atlanta, and now I felt like a failure. And so I'm blaming my wife for why my life did not turn out the way I wanted to do, why I didn't live up to my potential. And she had enough of my negativity. She's like, I love you, but I'm not going to spend my life with someone who's so negative all the time and so miserable, and who's blaming me because I was blaming her for why I had not lived up to my dream. So that ultimatum really caused me to look at myself, and I asked the question, like, what am I born to do? Like, why am I here? I can't be going through life like this. Like, man, I know there's something more for me. And why am I so miserable? And I realized I was miserable because I was focused on myself instead of others. And I also wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. So writing and speaking came to me literally in that request, in that prayer. It was a prayer. It was a desperate prayer. It was a desperate prayer. Like just like I wasn't a big believer, wasn't a big, religion guy or anything. I was just like, God, help me. Why am I here? What am I born to do? And that's when writing and speaking came to me. And so I'm like, I'm gonna do this. Well, 30 books later, I think God was right.
I think so. I think you found your purpose.
Yeah, there was a plan, and it was about serving others and making a difference. I decided right then and there, I don't want to make my life about me. I don't want to focus on me. Yes, I got to build a platform. Yes, I got to be someone who people want to hire. You got to put yourself out there on social media. So you build up a platform, but you got to remember, it's not about you. It's about being used to make a bigger difference, to make an impact. And that's where I started. All right.
Wow.
Get out there, do this work, get out there, make a difference, and get started.
This is what do I call a mic drop. And let me tell you why, because I didn't know that about your story. But so I'm gonna give you a mic drop because our audience, a lot of them, a big portion of our audience is going through career transition, right? They just got let go from corporate America, and it's like the world's crashing in around them. And a lot of them are senior level executives who have a harder time getting back to work because of ageism. Age discrimination keeps them, it takes them sometimes a year and a half, 2 years to get back to work. And so they get all this rejection and they just feel like they're getting beat down, man. And so when I heard you speak, I knew you had a message of encouragement and hope and light and, faith. And that's why I really wanted you to come here. And so I didn't realize the connection point was that all of this started for you was through a career transition. You got let go from a company, and that's where all this came from.
I wrote a book, The Shark and the Goldfish, and it's sort of based on my journey of getting let go. It's about a goldfish that's always been fed and goes through a major change in transition by being thrown into the ocean and getting swept away in the ocean. Now the goldfish has to learn how to be a shark, and the shark teaches the goldfish how to find food. Now I've had people email me say, John, goldfish cannot survive in the ocean water. I said, it's just a story. All right, it's just a story. But the idea is that we can't be goldfish. We got to go out there and create our lives. We got to go be sharks, kind sharks, nice sharks, positive sharks. I wrote that on the way to Vegas to a speaking engagement, and it just came to me. I literally wrote it on my BlackBerry years ago, and it became a little fable. And it's something that really inspires people who are going through a job transition. That's why I share that. But yeah, my work is based on my own journey of being negative and transitioning to be positive, to finding purpose, to finding mission. And I love meeting people who are struggling because I know there's more for them. I know that they can overcome. I know that they have to believe in themselves and find that power within them to do that. And when you're going through that, my advice is don't listen to those negative thoughts that says the future's hopeless. It's not going to happen. Your best days are behind you. Speak truth and words of encouragement and words of life to those negative thoughts. And as you do, you start walking in that truth and walking in that power. I have met many people that have lost jobs that have found new great ones. You just got to trust, you got to believe. It's a journey and it's a test that you go through on this journey called life.
I love that you just said that because look, this was the conference, Amberly's Unstoppable Success Summit. And that was one of the notes I took right here. Talk to yourself. Talk to yourself instead of listening to yourself. Right. I wrote that down. I take little notes here and there, and I wrote that one specifically down because I thought that was really impactful because we do have these negative thoughts, that hit us all the time. But speaking life, right? So is there a simple way to do that or to remind yourself to do that? How on a daily basis, or, what would you recommend for somebody to do that? How to do that?
Anyone going through a change like this or transition, I want to invite you to our Day of Development event, dayofdevelopment.com, Day of Development. Mindset, leadership, teamwork. You come to this event, you're going to meet other people who work for companies, work for jobs. You come to this event, you're going to learn to develop your mindset and your leadership and your teamwork. You tell a company that you've done that, it's going to put you at an advantage. And one of our exercises we do during day development is on the left side of a piece of paper, write down your negative thoughts. Write down those thoughts that come to you that always sabotage you. On the right side, write down the words of encouragement, the words of life, the words that you will speak to keep yourself going. And you do that on the right side. And every day when those negative thoughts come in, you replace it with one of the things that you wrote down. And it becomes a habit. It starts to become a part of you. But why is this important? Because the brain is an antenna. So what you tune into starts to show up more in your life. So if you tune into the negative, you're going to get more negative. You tune into the positive, you're going to get more positive. So you have to start to tune into the positive day in and day out. That's what I did. I began walks of gratitude every day. I began a success journal. I started doing things every day in the peak of my misery and negativity to turn my mind around. And over time, I rewired my brain from negative to positive. I'm naturally a negative person. You can actually become more positive. I'm proof of that. And everyone can. So we teach you how to do that. And that's just a simple exercise that even if you don't come to day development, that you can actually start doing today, that will make a big difference. But to remind yourself, I mean, you just got to tell yourself when you start the day, speak words of life, speak truth, don't believe the lies. And it's just that greater awareness and understanding that allows you to move forward in that way.
I love that. Plug that event again. What was the website?
Dayofdevelopment.com. Dayofdevelopment.com. We want to develop you in that day. And in that day, you're going to develop your mindset, your leadership, and your teamwork. We've had NFL coaches come. We've had NBA coaches come. We've had senior leaders, executives come. We've had Roma Downey come, the famous actress, come to our events. It's pretty cool. And everyone leaves with some action items and some strategies that they can implement immediately that's going to take your life and your career to that next level. If you don't believe it, you don't love it when you're done, guess what? I'll give you your money back. Like, I have a money back guarantee. If you're not happy, you don't have to pay.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so you said you also help to coach and I guess mentor and coach NFL coaches or like NFL coaches or
NFL
or players.
No, I coach NFL coaches.
Wow.
Have conversations with them all the time. I work with a lot of these NFL coaches to speak to their teams and develop a more positive mindset, to help them develop a strong culture, to help them develop leadership and teamwork. I worked with Sean McVay and Dabo Sweeney with Clemson and Dave Roberts with the Dodgers and Eric Spoelstra from the Miami Heat, worked with the Tampa Bay Lightning and all sorts of teams. I'm going to go speak to the Bears coming up in July for their training camp. So I get to work with a lot of organizations and teams. Just came back from speaking to a really cool conference with all these NFL coaches and GMs and college coaches were there as well, and ADs. There's a lot of leaders. And I shared my book, The One Truth, with that audience in terms of how to have a high state of mind instead of a lower state and how it creates connection with your team instead of allowing disconnection to happen. And man, it was cool. The One Truth is like my most recent advanced book, my newest thoughts, latest ideas. It's on another level. It's literally on another level. You read that book, it's like a Jedi. You have that Jedi mindset.
So we need to get you over here with the Cowboys, okay? Because Jerry Jones has been messing up for a long time. Okay, we need to get you over here with the
call. I've been waiting.
Yeah, man. Listen, we need to get you over here for sure. Okay. I also thought it was very interesting. I want to kind of maybe ask you a couple questions on how you formulated the book, right? I love how inside it's like book 1, book 2, book 3.
Yeah.
Could you share with a little bit about why you chose to go that way? Because I know there's like faith is definitely integrated into this book a lot. Was it kind of like emulating after maybe like the Bible with the different books of the Bible, or talk to me about what was your thought process? I mean, you've written so many books, so why did you choose to do that?
Faith is actually part of book 3. And
okay.
So it's not really faith. It's let's call it truth. It's not
truth. The one truth.
Yeah, it's really truth, because book 1 I wrote for a secular audience. This is a way to raise your state of mind. Again, this is all in the same book. So instead of section 1, I call it book 1, right? And I just thought, I actually did a lot of intentional thinking on that. Like,
yeah,
he wanted to divide into 3 separate kind of understandings. Book 1 was, let me tell you how state of mind works: high state, low state, clarity, clutter. Let me give you some ways to elevate your state of mind. That's the talk that I give to a lot of sports teams and companies when they want to know about the one truth from that standpoint. So I'll go in and I'll give that talk. Book 2 was explaining how everything comes down to oneness and separateness. So book 1 is about high state of mind, low state of mind. And again, the more clutter you have, the lower your state of mind, the more clarity you'll have, higher state, less thought, less worry, less fear, anxiety, and doubt. You have a lot more clarity, a lot higher state of mind. When you have all these thoughts coming in and you're distracted and divided and you got a lot of negativity and anxiety and worry, you got a low state of mind. So it's explaining all of that, which is, again, revolutionary in terms of how it all works. I'm explaining how thoughts work, how state of mind works, how it's not the circumstance. It's always your state of mind. One day you're in traffic and it bothers you. The next day you're in the same traffic, it doesn't, right? People often blame the traffic, but it's not the traffic. This causes you to think like a Jedi. So you can read book 1 and really get a ton from it. And that was the goal. Then I say, if you really want to understand what causes high state of mind and low state of mind, let's go to book 2. Book 2 is oneness and separateness. Everything comes down to oneness and separateness. Do I feel separate and disconnected? That leads to a lower state of mind. Do I feel connected and whole and peace and power? High state of mind, right? Everything comes down to oneness and separateness. You read that book and you'll have an incredible understanding of team dynamics, your individual mindset. You'll see when you've been in a low state because you felt very disconnected. All mental health disorders report feelings of isolation and disconnection and separation. Even trauma, we look at trauma. Trauma causes a neurological separation in your brain. So you actually have a separation, which causes the disconnect, and that leads to the mental health issues that people experience. So this explains how it all works. So now you'll see the world in a totally different way and have new eyes, new perspectives. And then book 3 was like, okay, you understand oneness and separateness. Let me explain what's behind that and how the truth explains everything. And the truth does not need the Bible to exist. But think about the Bible. It explains the truth. The truth exists without the Bible. Before there was the Bible, there was the ancient story of Adam and Eve. That was an oral story that was shared through verbal stories. It was eventually written down, but before that, it was an ancient Jewish story. It's not a Christian story. The story of Adam and Eve is a story of separation, right? Positive and negative frequencies, the voice of God and the voice of the enemy. It's the same story that we hear in the ancient Cherokee story between two wolves, the positive wolf and the negative wolf. That's an ancient story. Or in pop culture today, where we have the main character in a movie and he's got the angel on one side, he's got the devil on the other, and those two voices are speaking to him, right? That's woven into the fabric of our existence, of our universal existence. It's all there. Oneness and separateness, positive and negative. So biblical truth just explains the truth that already exists, and oneness and separateness. So it explains how there's a force always trying to divide and separate, and how the key is to get back to oneness and wholeness and connection. So book 3 explains how the things we do in this world also separate us. Christians call it sin. Sin separates. But love and forgiveness bring us back into healing and wholeness. Everyone has a wound that they carry around in their life. What heals the wound? Love and forgiveness. A relationship with others, loving relationship, and a loving relationship with your creator. You were created for a connection. You were never meant to be separate. Again, this is not religion. This just explains the truth that already exists and the experience that we know to be true, how there's a force dividing your marriage, dividing your relationship, broken families, broken marriages, broken relationships, all these things, right? We're talking about putting it back together.
I love that. That's so powerful and so needed right now in our culture and in our society. And if you think about what's going on, just, like I said, in our country, everybody's so divided and separated, and there's a lot of hate.
You could see it play out. What do you want to live with more of? You want to be chronically stressed all the time, worried, fearful, anxious, and stressed. And by the way, the root for the Greek word of anxious means to separate and divide. So when you feel anxious, you feel separate and divided. Think about all the people that feel anxious today. Think about the pandemic, how it created a division, and how many mental health issues we saw as a result of that. This one truth explains it all, right? So you feel separate, you feel divided, and then you have all these sorts of issues, and then you see it play out in a bigger way with the division in the world and the division of wars and fighting and politics, and you see it play out. So then what's the answer? That's why I wrote this book. The answer for this time, this generation, is let's get back to healing. Let's get
Mm.
back to wholeness. Let's elevate our state of mind individually. Let's do it collectively. And let me give you a framework to show you how to do it. Read on the back. Read back on the back? What did Sean McVay say about it on the back?
Sean McVay says, I love this book uh, by my great friend Jon Gordon. He took his writing and thought leadership to another level with the one truth to help all of us get to the next level. You will learn how to live a whole life with peace, power, and purpose.
Yep. So do you want to be chronically worried, stressed, fearful, and anxious? Or do you want to live with power, with courage, with confidence, with peace? Think about that. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Yeah, I'm going to show you how to live with more power and peace and courage and confidence instead of being chronically stressed and worried all the time.
Let's go.
It's a promise I make in the book. And guess what? I'm not trying to sell you anything. I want to give you something that's going to impact your life.
I love it. And you know what? You've written a lot of books, okay? 30 books and the 17 bestsellers. Let me ask you this. Out of your books, I know the Energy Bus is one of the is that the bestseller out of the
Yes, that's
the 30?
Yeah, over 3 million copies. That's more popular than all of them.
Which well, let me ask you this. We were just talking about stories, right?
Yep.
Can you tell us a story of someone that comes to mind that you've had the biggest impact with, and which one of these books do you think it really was that, you know, kind of opened things up and made that impact?
Well, I mean, I just got an email from a young man who read The One Truth, and he was suicidal and wanted to give up on his life, and now he has hope and encouragement, and he realized that his negative thoughts were not coming from him. So now he's not believing the lies anymore, and he's speaking truth, and he's no longer feeling broken and doesn't feel like something's wrong with him anymore. He now feels like he has the tools to overcome and has been equipped with that. So that's been pretty cool to know that you saved possibly a life with something you wrote. That's really powerful.
Heck yes.
And I'm very thankful for that. It's what I love to do, and it's what I want to do. And then, you know, there's just stories of it. Like even a coach the other day, man, I was at this event speaking with all these coaches, and my wife was there, and she couldn't believe it because guys were coming up to her and me and saying, like, your husband's books changed my life, like, changed my career, made me a better coach. Like I have the success I have because of these books. Like, so I get a lot of those kind of stories as well. And it's like, wow, I didn't even know that. Like I didn't even know it impacted these people that I watch on Sunday and watch on Saturday and coach. And I had no idea. And then you see that and you go, wow, that's why I'm doing this. Like it's really impactful. We're talking, I mean, over the years, people have gotten incredible promotions. Became a CEO as a result of reading the book. A guy who changed from an energy vampire to a positive leader and then thrived in his career. I mean, yeah, there's just a lot of examples over time on that. And yeah, you know, I don't think it's me. I believe it's the book. I believe it's the message. And I believe that it takes me 3.5 weeks to write a book. So I know I'm not that smart. I know I'm not that smart. So,
wow.
On my walks of prayer and gratitude, like the ideas come, I get the vision, and then I start writing it, and it sort of writes itself. And I'll look back and I'll go, man, I don't even remember writing that. Like, wow. And then to see how the books impact people, I just got to give all credit to God because I know it's not me.
Wow, that is amazing. Okay. Can you maybe dive a little bit deeper into what you said about the negative thoughts are not from you?
Yeah. Who would ever choose to have a negative thought? Like, would you ever choose a negative thought? When you're dreaming, having a nightmare, are you choosing those thoughts? No one has ever found a thought inside of a brain. The brain, the neurons, it's where the activation happens of the thought. But thoughts are spiritual. Thoughts exist in consciousness. We are more thought beings than we are physical beings because we're made of energy, right? And so the thoughts we think uplift us or they bring us down. You're tuning into two main frequencies, a positive frequency or a negative frequency. Positive thoughts have a frequency. Negative thoughts have a frequency, a lower frequency. What are you tuning into? And I'm convinced over time we're going to find out that those positive thoughts actually can either nourish us or affect our brain and damage the brain, which I really believe happens, because that's why people who have negative thoughts will have these cycles of more and more negative thoughts. It gets worse and worse and worse. And the positive thoughts uplift you, encourage you, unite you. Think about fear. What does fear do? Divides.
Mm.
Talk about separation. Fear divides. What does love do? Love unites and love connects. Love brings you back into wholeness. Fear causes you to feel more and more separate and alone and disconnected. So your brain is either tuning into the positive and the negative. And there's a force of negativity that wants to sabotage you with negative thoughts. That's why
Mm.
the battle is between our negative thoughts and our positive thoughts. And once you realize that it's a battle, you don't beat yourself up anymore. And you realize, oh, it's not me. There's a battle going on between good and evil, positive and negative, love and fear. And I'm going to win the battle with good, with God, with love, and with these tools to allow me to win that battle of our mind. Once you realize that, it all makes sense and the world makes sense. And now you can be equipped and armored with the tools to win the battle. And that's what I've helped so many do is I teach them how to win the battle of their mind. And a really cool story, if you don't want to read the whole one truth, a cool little story that explains the 5 Ds and how to win the battle is The Garden. The Garden is a great book. It's called The Garden, and it's how to win the battle of your mind and overcome the 5 Ds of doubt, distortion, which are lies, distractions, discouragement, and division.
Mm. Man, I tell you what, you got a whole library of positive truth here, and I just love it. I think it's amazing. I have a quick question for you because this is the Who You Know show, and I think this is an interesting question for you specifically. Okay, because you've got so much information here. What do you think is more important? What you know, the information, what's been downloaded, right? Or who you know, right? What do you think is more important?
You know, what just came to me, and again, I don't want to scare people away with too much faith, but I think it's essential because you were created for connection,
Mm,
created by a creator to have that connection.
mm,
You were never meant to be independent. And in that dependent relationship, you actually find happiness and joy and power and peace. So to me, who you know, if I know God and I know that there is a God, and for me, it's I know Jesus and I have a relationship because I
mm,
know that's where my ideas come from. That's where my power comes from.
mm,
That creates the what, the who. Now, in a more practical term, I do believe who you know is always more important too, because who you know leads to relationship, but
mm.
you do have to have a what. If you don't have the knowledge or the skill, then that who won't lead to success ultimately. But who gets you in the door? And I
Yes.
would say the who of God opens the door that you are meant to walk into because God opens every door that you are meant to walk into, and He will close the doors that you are not meant to walk through. And sometimes our challenges, we walk through the wrong doors, and God will close it, and we still open it, and we don't listen and take heed. So to me, I'm listening to the who to guide me in the what.
Oh man, I gave you a mic drop for that. That was powerful right there. Let me ask you this: who's been somebody in your life that's been instrumental to all of your success? Like, think about, I know for myself, there's been people that have opened doors along the way. Who's been that person that you can go, man, you know what? It was this person.
First and foremost, no doubt my wife. If it wasn't for her, I would not be who I am today. Like she deserves all the credit, and she comes to mind when I say that. It's got to be my mom, who believed in me when I was a kid growing up, and just was my first and best coach. She saw the potential and the greatness in me, and just encouraged me along the way. So got to go with my mom. I love my dad too. Without him, I wouldn't be who I am because he raised me since I was 5 years old, and so I got to give him the credit. And then Ken Blanchard, the 1 Minute Manager author. He wrote the forward to the Energy Bus.
Hmm.
His writing the forward got that book out there because people saw his name attached to the book. So that was a big, big deal for me. So without Ken, I don't know if I would have the success I have. So I got to give him all the credit in the world. And my good buddy Mark Rafton, who I saw in Houlihan's restaurant when I was visiting home. We went to high school together. And I said, hey, I just started speaking and writing and doing this thing, and I'm trying to get on one of the Today shows or Good Morning America. Do you know anybody there? He goes, yeah, I went to college with a girl who works at the Today Show. I'll reach out to her.
Mm.
My buddy Mark reached out to her, and out of the blue, they got me on the Today Show for a 4-week series called Get Energized Today.
Oh,
and that began my career. That was back when the Today Show was a huge deal. Like if you got on that show, it made your career. And got on there. This was like 2005 or 6, and that was a big part of my journey as well. Shannon Vargo read The Energy Bus and decided she wanted to do the book. Again, it got rejected by 30 publishers.
What?
30 publishers rejected that book.
So your bestseller got rejected 30 times.
Yeah.
Whoo!
Shannon Vargo with John Wiley and Sons read it and said, I want to do something with it. And so she had a huge impact. So here's the deal. No one creates success alone. We all need a team to be successful. And no one is a self-made man or woman. We're all made by the collection of people who spoke into us, believed in us, worked with us, and helped us along the way. And yeah, I want to give credit to them. And I could give credit to so many others as well on the journey. But yeah, those are some people that really had an impact.
Well, the first one you said, I got her information right here. There's your wife. there she is, and she was actually the one when you were actually still on stage, and I beelined over to her actually, and I was like, hey, I gotta get Jon on the show. And I'd love to have her on sometime too.
You should definitely have her on. She is dynamic. She's got incredible insight, information, wisdom on relationships, real success. Yeah, she would love to come on. So you definitely connect with her, and you'll like her more than me. Everyone likes her more than me. So
well, Jon, I just want to say thank you so much for spending some time with us today on the Who You Know show. I know your message is a message of hope. Again, when you get people sending messages saying, hey, your book helped me from, preventing me from, doing suicide and stuff like that. I mean, it's impactful, the stuff that you're doing. And I got to witness your message firsthand at Amberly's conference. And I just want to give you your roses, man. You're making a massive impact. And we just appreciate you so stinking much, man. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Trevor. I appreciate you. Appreciate your show. And also just want to say one practical tip for people.
Yes.
Cool thing on Who You Know, and you probably teach this to people, but when you're trying to get referrals and you're trying to build a business, just ask people, who do you know that I should know?
So good.
That I should know. And when you say, who do you know that I should know? That creates referrals, creates relationships. And then from there, you can try to build your business and influence. But don't squander the opportunity when you meet someone. Respect it. Don't be too pushy. Go learn from that person, connect with that person. Because you never know with who you know and how it'll lead to eventually what you know and the success you have. So keep up the great work, Trevor.
Hey, Jon, man, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate you, and have a blessed day. Oh, by the way, real quick, before you go, what's next, man? What's book 30, 32, 33? What?
Success Journal comes out end of June.
Oh, my God.
Conversations don't have to be difficult. It just came out. So great book called Difficult Conversations Don't Have to Be Difficult. Just came out. Great book on having difficult conversations as a team. And then the Success Journal now comes out at the end of this month on writing down your success of the day every day. And that will help you create more success in your life.
Love that. Well, thanks again, Jon. I appreciate you. Guys, y'all need to go check them out. Let's go get this one, the one truth. Okay. And what I want you to do is take a screenshot right now. Take a screenshot, post this all over social media, wherever you're at. Okay. I want you to tag Jon. Okay. Tag him and tell him what was one thing you learned from this episode that really stood out to you. I'd love for you to do that. I want you just to blow him up so he knows, he's loved over here on the Who You Know show. And also, if you end up picking up a copy, send me a screenshot and I'll do something special for you. I appreciate you. Again, Jon, thank you so much, man.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Thanks for doing that. And I'd love to see those pictures. It lets us know that people are listening.
Absolutely. All right, Jon, have a blessed day, man. I appreciate you being on the pod.
All right, take care. God bless you.
All right, bye-bye.